Would you like to accelerate your career and reach your full potential in just minutes a day? Welcome to the LEADx Show with New York Times best-selling author and Inc. 500 entrepreneur, Kevin Kruse.
How do you take the plunge and pursue your dream job? Hello, everyone. Kevin Kruse here. And in just a minute, we're going to talk to the founder of a meal delivery company about entrepreneurship and leadership. But first, congratulations on being the CEO of your future. Content people seek out entertainment. Ambitious people seek out education. You are here. It means you want to be more so you can make a bigger impact on the world. Do your friends and family members a favor. Let them know that LEADx is the smartest way to start your day. And free for you, don't forget to download our ebook, Richard Branson's 7 Secrets to Leadership. You can get that at leadx.org/Branson. And today's quick career tip is record yourself. We all want to be better communicators, and just like you can't find the typos in your own writing, you just can't see them, you really can't critique your own verbal communication either, at least not while you're in the moment. But we all have smartphones, and with one tap, you can record your conversations. When I wanted to improve my sales calls, I began to record myself, and I listened back. When I wanted to record my $1 million pitches in front of clients, I would record them and I would say, hey, this is so you can keep a record for yourself, but I was really using it so that I could listen to myself and to get better. Whenever I listen to my own recordings, suddenly I notice all those verbal pauses, the ums, the ahs, you knows. These days, a lot of people will say the word so a lot, and we all do it, but the more you become aware of it, the more polished your speaking will become. So I got a little bit better. Words count. Remember, record yourself. Now, our guest today is an entrepreneur. She's the co-founder, with her brother, of a meal delivery service called Veestro. She grew up in a big family in Costa Rica and moved to the United States as a teenager. And although she and her brother always loved the social aspect of sharing a great meal, as adults, they found that office life meant little time to cook, little time to prepare a healthy meal. So this is how they came up with the idea of Veestro, healthy plant-based meals ready to heat and eat. Our guest is Monica Klausner. Monica, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, Kevin.
So I always start with the first question. We're going to talk about Veestro in a minute, but I always ask our guests the same thing. Will you share a time when you failed in your career? Because we want to know what you learned from it so we can learn from it too.
Sure. So before I tell you the details of this experience I'm going to share with you, I want to tell you that I learned 2 very important things. One that was a direct impact of the experience I'm going to talk about. But the other thing I learned, and I learned this early on in my career, maybe first job out of college, from one of the best mentors I've ever had in my life, one of my managers, was probably one of the most impactful things that I learned in my life, which is when you talk about failure, the word failure has a really negative and almost depressive connotation. It immediately makes you feel shame and guilt. So what he said to me was, instead of talking about your failures, talk about your learning experiences. Every single failure is a learning experience. It just is a shift in perspective. If you shift your perspective slightly, you're no longer feeling shame and guilt about that learning experience where you failed, if you will. So I always look at things as learning experiences. One of the earliest and probably most memorable failures / learning experiences I had was early on in my sales career. I was up for this very, very, very big job. I worked really hard on the proposal for many days. I consulted with my boss. It was a really huge opportunity that nobody in our office had the opportunity to pitch. So I went, I did the pitch, I submitted the proposal. I was so excited. And then I didn't follow up. And I didn't follow up, not because I wasn't thinking about it and I forgot about it, but because I felt like I didn't want to bother them. I didn't want to annoy them. I wanted, I thought, oh, well, they have everything they need. They will make the decision because if I'm the best and I have the best price, they will go with me. Well, unfortunately for me, I did not get the job, but having been encouraged by my boss, I asked the question, was there anything that I didn't do or that, I missed? And the person on the other end was so kind to tell me the truth. And they said, you almost had it if only you had asked for the order.
Wow.
So, of course, I was really depressed that day. I considered it a huge failure. How could I forget to ask for the order? But when I went over it with my boss, he said, that is going to be the most important lesson you will ever learn. You always ask for the order, no matter what. You are not bothering them. They asked you to present. They asked you for a proposal. They need what you have, but you have to follow up and ask for the order.
Monica, this story is amazing because, first of all, they gave you the gift of feedback, right? And in the moment, it hurts. We don't want to hear it. And sometimes we might even try to reject it. But then when we get over ourselves, we realize it really is a gift. And that's when we learn and grow.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'll tell you something really interesting. So I worked in sales for many years, and then I moved on to marketing. And it never changes. Asking for the order doesn't mean I'm asking for the actual order. It means everything. When you go on an interview, you should always end the interview with, would you mind sharing with me what the next steps are? You always want to position yourself to ask for the next step.
Love that. And, Monica, you said, I loved your preamble to your failure story, quote unquote failure, because so the LEADx, the longtime listeners will know that you're my sister from another mister, because I always say there's no win or fail. There's win or learn, right? And true entrepreneurs, like there could be, I don't know, secret organizations have a secret handshake. Well, this could be like the test of entrepreneurship, because you ask an entrepreneur about failure and it's like, you're speaking a foreign language. Like what are you even talking about? It's just learning. It's just feedback. So I appreciate you sharing that. And now let's talk about Veestro, and I want to start at the beginning because not everybody has heard of Veestro yet, but I think there's a lot of people out there who actually might not be familiar with this concept of like a meal delivery service. So for someone who is super busy, I'm a good example, single dad to 3 teenagers, but I want to eat healthy, don't have a lot of time. So I go to Veestro.com, and that's Veestro.com. And what happens?
So what happens is you come to Veestro and you are presented with all of these pictures of amazingly delicious food. So you want to take a look at the meals that we offer. They're all healthy. They're all made with 100% plants, because everybody needs to eat more plants. But the best thing about our meals are that they are delicious and fully prepared. So you come to our site, you take a look around, you can choose. If you've never been here, I always tell people, always start with our starter pack. Our starter pack is 12 meals. They're the most popular meals, so you know that everybody loves those. It's 12 meals and a juice. It's usually $99, and it includes free shipping for first-time customers. The reason I say start with that is because sometimes you come to a site, you see 50 images of delicious meals. Oh my God, where do I go from here? How do I even make a choice? Start with the starter pack, 12 different meals. They're all delicious. They're fully prepared. And what happens once you place your order is we make everything fresh throughout the week, and then we ship it to you frozen. And the reason we ship it to you frozen is because I can only imagine how busy you are, right. Single dad of 3 teenagers. Right. Everybody's busy, even if you don't have any children, if you're a young millennial professional.
Everybody's busy.
Everybody's busy. So the box arrives at your doorstep frozen. You open it, you put all the meals in the freezer, and they're there for when you need them. So you don't have to worry that by Saturday they'll be bad. If you didn't get to them this week because you were out of town on a business trip, it's not a big deal. They can last up to 8 weeks in your freezer, and all you do is you get home, you take one out of the freezer, you can pop it in the oven, you can toss it in a skillet, you can always use a microwave in a pinch. A lot of people don't like it, but it's there for convenience. And 15, 20 minutes later, your dinner is done. There's no prepping, no chopping, no cooking, and certainly no cleaning. That's my favorite part.
And let me, as I was prepping for this interview, my assistant said, hey, is this like a sponsored thing or something? And I want to tell listeners, this is not a sponsored plug like this. I have no incentive other than wanting to discover your story and to learn from this. But I do want to emphasize, you've said it a couple times, like the difference here is, first of all, plant-based, but also that it's pre-cooked, ready to go. So I've used some of the other more popular meal delivery services, and I like them. And it's a step in the right direction. I'm a productivity nut. So if I don't have to think about a recipe or a meal, if I don't have to go to the grocery store, meal delivery services are great. However, again, if I'm really focused on extreme productivity, the meal prep services that I've used, it still takes me, 40 to 60 minutes to chop everything up, to cook it or whatever, and then there's cleanup as well. So, yours is plant-based and, fresh frozen and delivered ready to go. And I noticed, Monica, I'm just kind of curious, your meals could be described as vegan, but you don't really use that term. You're using plant-based. Is there a reason for that?
There is, actually. And I'm so glad you asked, actually. So the reason that we use the word plant-based instead of vegan is because my brother and I, we truly believe that eating more plants is a much healthier way to live. But what we want to convey with Veestro is that you don't have to be an absolute. You don't have to be vegan to eat more plants. You can be a carnivore, an omnivore, a flexitarian, a pescatarian, a milkitarian. You can be anything you want to call yourself. But everybody needs to eat more plants because it's better for their health, it's better for the environment, and ultimately, if we want to be able to live on this earth for many more generations, we all have to do our part. Not to mention the fact that there's all of these horrible chronic illnesses in the U.S. and around the world, but more prominent in the U.S., that can really be helped with better nutrition. So when we started the business, we decided that we wanted to encourage people to eat more plants. And how do you do that without making them feel excluded? Mm-hmm. And it's pretty unfortunate that the vegan movement of yore, if you will, like the vegan movement did something that has turned out to be not very inclusive, which is it makes people feel like if you're not a vegan, you just might as well not even try.
Right.
And it's a real shame. We can all do our part. I mean, look, there's Meatless Mondays. There's, the new reducitarian solution, which all it does is it talks about how we can all reduce the amount of animal products we consume. It's not saying get rid of them. It just says eat less, eat more plants.
That makes a lot of sense. And, Monica, I was sharing with you before the show, I often say that I can't call myself a vegan because although I eat vegan probably 90 to 95% of the time, the other 5%, my diet looks like a Super Bowl party. So, you've given me permission to be okay. I can come out with that 95-5 ratio, I think.
And it's okay. Everybody should feel that way, Kevin. Everybody should feel okay with the way that they eat as long as they're happy with the way they eat. And if you're happy having a 5% Super Bowl diet, dude, you are doing so much more for yourself and for the environment than 90% of the population.
Yeah, I'm all about, again, productivity, and it's not about time, it's about energy. And I have just, felt better and had more energy and slept better since shifting away. But let me switch up about less about the health and the food, and from a career aspect. I'm trying to imagine what it was like when you and your brother had other jobs and then decided to, take the plunge and launch this new company. So, was it scary? What did you go through, and what's your advice to others? Because I think a lot of people are like, oh, I hate my desk job, or I hate my boss, or I'm only doing this because my parents told me to be a lawyer, or whatever it is. Didn't mean to pick on lawyers. And then but they won't pivot. They won't jump in to their dream career. So tell me about how you did it.
Well, I want to start by saying that entrepreneurship is not for the faint of heart. Let's start with that. So if you are one of those people who loves having the security of a job, then that's awesome and more power to you. If, on the other hand, you have this little tickle in the back of your head that says, I should be, it is really scary. There are so many emotions that you go through. It's scary because you go from security to no security. It's exciting because you go from, something that you know how to do to something that you've never tried, or maybe you don't know if it's going to work. It's nerve-wracking because all of a sudden it's all on you and you cannot just leave it. You cannot just quit. I mean, you can,
right, but
really you don't just want to quit. So there's all of these emotions, and I have to tell you, the emotions don't really change. As your business grows, it shifts. The fear is still there, but now we don't have the fear of, oh my God, is this business going to work?
Right.
It used to be at the beginning, oh my God, is this business going to work? Now the fear is, oh my God, are we going to be able to hit our numbers this year? And next year it's going to be, wow, are we going to be able to raise the amount of money we want to raise so that we can hit the next level? It just shifts. And you have to be okay with all of these emotional roller coasters. Now, the upside of that is that you feel so great at the end of the day, because it doesn't matter how tired or stressed you are, this is your own thing, and you're affecting your future. You are officially running your own ship. The other thing I wanted to tell you is that, and more for your listeners, when you have that tickle in the back of your head to be an entrepreneur, it doesn't mean you have to start a $100 million company.
Right.
It also doesn't mean you have to start a $10 million company. A lot of people start businesses that are small and that are, we call those lifestyle businesses.
Right.
My family, for example, we grew up in Costa Rica, and everyone in my family is an entrepreneur, but their businesses are all lifestyle businesses. What that means is you build a business that you can live off of. It's your own business. You make enough money to live a nice life, but you don't have the stresses of having to raise funds, talk to investors, have a public company, all of those things that come with a really large business. And that's great as well.
Yeah, I think you hit a couple of such important points, Monica. Like, I think about, and I don't think I've shared this on the show, in my own entrepreneurial career, early on, I had a couple of companies that crashed and burned, and then I've had companies that have been, Inc. 500 winners and sold for millions of dollars. And every one of my successful businesses that later became a bigger business and sold, I actually started those companies when I still had a day job. So people think about entrepreneurs taking these crazy risks, and it's okay to dive in, head first if you want to. But a lot of us, we work the 8 or 9 hour day job day, and then we work the next 8 hour shift on our entrepreneur gig, on our side hustle. So you don't always have to do it, all at once. And I was laughing because you said, that roller coaster of entrepreneurship, the stress, the problems change, but they certainly don't go away. And, I can remember stressing, like you said, is this going to even work out or survive? And I remember having a small business and I landed my first $1 million consulting project and I had to staff up and all this. And I was just thinking, finally, I made it. That thought lasted for about 14 days. And then I realized I had to pay everybody like long before the client was going to pay me. And so I couldn't cash flow it. So how do you solve that problem? And it's just, whoever you think to these days is the iconic entrepreneur, the Elon Musk, the Michael Dell, whoever it is, every day they are facing huge problems. It just goes with the territory.
Absolutely. That's why I say it's not for the faint of heart. If you think you're going to start a business and it's going to be multi-million-dollar success overnight, and then you're going to be able to lay on a beach somewhere, you're probably not being very realistic. It doesn't usually work that way.
That's right. Now, Monica, Veestro's growing quickly, and I am a firm believer that, the number one secret of success for a company, it is the employees, it is the talent, so I'm curious right now, like, how are you guys going about attracting great people and, keeping them satisfied and engaged at work?
That's the $1 million question. And, it changes on a daily basis, but I think what my brother and I have been able to sort of hone in on. Remember when I said entrepreneurship is not for the faint of heart, right?
Right.
Well, working at a startup is also not for the faint of heart. So for Mark and I, when we look at talent, one of the most important things for us, something that is almost a deal breaker, in fact, it is a deal breaker for us, the person needs to be willing to do what it takes to work here. And what that means is, we run a food business, and on certain days, perhaps two of the shippers didn't show up. They were sick. Somebody's got to step in and suit up and go into the freezer for 8 hours a day. And sometimes that person is me.
Right.
But we need to have people who are willing to roll up their sleeves, get their hands dirty in whatever needs to be done. The upside of that is that a lot of our employees have learned many, many different aspects of our business. So they're much more well-rounded. Their perspective on work is very different. And it's exciting because it gives them a really big sense of ownership. I'm not just working here. This isn't just a job. I'm actually making an impact and helping the business grow. So we really, really, I would say, before we look at resumes, before we look at, where they went to school, before we look at anything else, we want to have a sit down with the person and sort of gauge, is this person somebody who's willing to do what it takes?
Fantastic. And such a powerful word of ownership. I mean, people will fight to protect things that they feel they own. They will invest time and sweat and energy to build things that they feel like they own. So anything we can do with our team members to give them a sense of ownership in the project, in the office, in the company is going to really help to achieve that.
Yeah. And alternatively, we're building a really, really nice culture of cooperation. So we all collaborate. We all talk. We do lunches whenever, because we work in food. Every time there's a new menu item that we're considering putting on the menu, the chef brings it out. Everybody gets, to try it. Everybody gets a questionnaire. Everybody gets to give some input. And so everybody feels like they are really part of the lifeline of the business. And I think that makes a big difference in how people feel when they come to work.
Absolutely. Now, Monica, before we wrap up, I always like to ask the LEADx listeners to become 1% better every day. Just get a little bit better every single day. So I want you to challenge us. What's one specific thing we can do today to either become better leaders or to, advance our career?
If I can tell you only one thing, because of course I have a list that's like 6 miles long. One thing that has made a significant impact in my career is that shift in perception. Shift your perspective, if you will, in a more positive way. If you are the kind of person who thinks the glass is always half full, meaning, oh, my job sucks, this is terrible, I don't like it here, shift your perspective and think, this is going to sound just like JFK, think not what you can do for your country, but what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. Think about how you can make this situation better. Give 110% of yourself, not for the people around you, but for yourself. Because when you feel better, you feel more empowered to do better.
Makes a lot of sense. Be part of the solution, not just...
Don't be part of the problem.
Exactly.
Now, I'm gonna do one... Can I say one more thing about being better humans in general?
Please.
If you can do anything, just eat less animal products.
Great.
Whatever it is. Eat more plants. One day, one meal, it doesn't matter.
I like your second challenge even better. Nothing wrong with, hey, be optimistic today. Stop being such a downer. But I really hope, like you mentioned, Meatless Mondays, right?
Yeah.
It's a simple ask. Can you go one day? Can you go one day without eating an animal? I hope I hear from listeners about their experiment with that. I think that's great. So, Monica, I want to thank you for coming on to the LEADx show. And so tell our listeners how they can find out more about Veestro.
So just come to Veestro.com, Veestro.com. Look around and happy shopping, I guess.
That sounds good. I was going to say, they gotta get prepped at least for a couple of Meatless Mondays, I think, right?
Absolutely. In fact, we have a Meatless Monday pack, so there's no thinking involved.
Makes it easy. You should have led with this challenge, and look at that. There'd be perfect marketing tie-in. It shows your ideas were coming from the heart.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me, Kevin. This was absolutely wonderful, and I love your show.
Oh, my pleasure. So, friends, you've just been mentored in the time-saving, healthy living techniques by Monica Klausner. Don't forget, you can get the links and notes from this interview over at leadx.org. That's it for today's episode of The LEADx Show. Please subscribe to The LEADx Show on iTunes. Leave a rating and review. It only takes you a minute, but it's the single best way to build our tribe. Remember, leadership is not a choice because leadership is influence. You're leading people, you're influencing people with your words, also your silence, your actions, and when you choose to be a bystander. You're a leader whether you want to be or not. So please, lead with intent.